what am I? I got to hit the first milestone. So the best case for hitting the actual event right now segues us into our next topic, which is these new Galactic Armada credits that you see here that are part of the rewards. Galactic Recruit tokens. Several months ago, we were talking about, I think this was like October, we were talking about, how the Ultra Recruit chest is really a problem and how, they can't really keep adding new officers to it because it's just going to keep getting overwhelmed. And that's why we don't have sourcing for so many of the new officers, because there's already too many people in here. And we were talking about the easiest thing to do would just be to split it, right? The way that they did the Crucible of War chest, you could just split this off into two separate chests. Put half, some of the good officers with some of the crappy officers in one box, and put the other half of them in the other box. Much like they did with the new Crucible of War. And then that also gives you more room to filter in some of the newer officers to keep this thing from getting overwhelmed. Well, either they heard that and were paying attention, or I'm just really good at guessing and predicting things, because what we have now is the new Galactic Recruit box. Now, we don't know what the sourcing is going to be for these credits going forward. It's supposed to be more exclusive than Ultra Recruits, which means that they're going to continue to try and sell them. But hopefully it won't be as ridiculous of a price point as the Elite Faction bundles that they tried to put out that just make me mad because they're god-awful. So instead what we get is the Galactic Recruit token, which currently just has all of the officers that were released last year through the end of the Voyager arc. So whatever the event store was, I think it was August, we had the event store for that, and Voyager ended with Neelix and 7 of 9. Every other officer that came out previous to then is available in this pack. Everything that came out afterwards is not in here yet. We just had those officers available in the event stores, and I guess at some point in time they will find their way in here in the near future. Maybe some of these older ones will get dropped off. And the proposed plan is that that's what they're going to do. Newer officers will get rotated in here every couple of months, and maybe they'll take some of the older ones out, and then either they'll have a permanent home or they'll all just get dumped into the Ultra Recruits too, until they overwhelm this thing and make it even more ridiculous trying to source anybody specific that you would like to get. Don't know for sure. But yes, it is the only path to sourcing for a number of these officers. The Borg Queen and Gaza and Hugh and things, and the Galinar, they're in the Borg Cube boxes or the Epic Borg Solo Armada boxes for some of these people. The G5 Rare boxes have some of these officers in them. And then you've got your Voyager Rare Formation Armada boxes to get some of these people. So there's a few of them like Dixon Hill, Neelix, and 7 that don't have any sourcing at all yet. That this is a way to get them. Every pack you open, you can see here, gives you 5 shards, and all of them have an equal shot. So you've got, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18, 19 officers. So you've got about a 5% chance of getting the officer that you want, and you'll get 5 shards. So you've got 5%, and you're going to run it 5 times. Each pull is an independent run, so it's not even like it's diminishing returns kind of thing where your odds improve if you don't get the officer that you want, because you could just get 3 Picard Worf shards. Unless that happens to be the officer that you want. I can't imagine why, but, it could be. So there are no lucky chance pulls. Nope. There are no lucky chance pulls. It's just, here's your new officers. Here, roll the dice and take your chances. And are they selling bundles of this? Doesn't look like it yet. Nope, doesn't look like they're selling those yet. So maybe they are going to keep it somewhat restricted and make you have to work through events, and maybe they'll make that the mechanic where you have to, spend X amount of materials or whatnot in order to get them. Don't know. While we're talking about new officers, we can talk about the two new ones as well that were just released. We've got Trip Tucker, who seems okay. When you take damage from a hostile, it decreases their critical damage. Does not work on armadas or assaults. So if you want to lower the damage you're taking from an opposing hostile or an opposing player, you're only lowering their critical damage. So if something that crits a lot, this would be beneficial. Do these things crit a lot? I guess it depends on what you're fighting. His below deck ability seems more useful, boosting the amount of resources you get from killing Herodian and Species 8472 hostiles. This is going to make that Voyager grinding more manageable. This is a quality of life improvement. This will scale up as you tier him up. So this is worthwhile to get. How you're going to get him this month is the pain point, because in case you missed that announcement, there are no solo leaderboard events this month, at least not currently on the schedule. Instead, this will be much like we had with the 7 of 9 events. If we can go find the old events on the event page. Recruit 7? Yeah. All right. So let's go back, see how far back I can go. Because that event was August that we had her. So let's see what we can find here. Doesn't look like the data was stored from back then. At least it's not available on the website. It's not letting me go back that far. But essentially, we'll take the Riker event. So essentially, if we look at the last Riker event, this is what, a level 20 account. Let's move it up. So you'll have your standard regular 4 milestones, which will give you a partial unlock of the officer, 20, 35, 45, 50. So in this case, it would be lower. Might be a little less in points because you're only going to get about, well, what does Tucker take to unlock? 100 shards. So you'll be able to get about, I think, 35 would probably be, or maybe actually even less than that, because they're selling 20 in the pass. So 80 divided by 3 is, we'll call it 30. So chances are you'll get about 30 shards through the first couple of milestones here. And then, like 7 of 9 had, there will be 4 milestones above it, which will have a significant jump in price, but will also have additional shards being paid out, so that it will be possible to get a full 100 officer shard acquisition and unlock if you complete all 8 milestones. They are supposed to just run consecutively, not like that Janeway event where you did 4 and then finished it and then had to start the event and cash it in to trigger the next event to start. They're not doing that. It's just going to be one continuous 8 milestone event. But there's going to be a big jump in terms of price between tiers 4 and 5, and then progressively moving up, 6, 7, and 8. So the rumor is that if you get milestones 1 through 4, which are the regular SMSs, all 3 weeks, plus you bought the $100 battle pass to get the extra 20 shards out of that, that would be enough to unlock Trip Tucker. Seems a little ridiculous, but maybe the milestones aren't going to be as crazy. So maybe that'll be a little more balanced, or maybe it's possible if you don't want to spend the $100 on the Elite Battle Pass. It's only 20 shards you have to make up. How much of a difference is it going to be between milestones 4 and 5? Can maybe you get to the milestone 5 to make up those extra 20 shards? But that's the other thing too, and just get the regular battle pass, and save yourself the $80. Because looking at the battle pass, in the bottom half here, there's only 14 shards for Tucker. So if you wanted to skip the battle pass altogether and save your $20, you'd have to make up another 14 shards of him. So now you're talking about 34 shards between that and the elite. That might be a little more challenging to unlock him. And as far as T'Pol goes, she's going to be in a very much like Troy was, where she's going to be tied to the ticket events. So you're going to have an abundance of tickets if anybody has them left. Why does my inventory keep freezing? Oh, it's a new bug. If anybody has any tickets left after, an event store month and you didn't cash them all in, that'll be how you source T'Pol, will be through new ticket events. She is less exciting. Her officer ability is a big boost to protected cargo. More so than some of the other officers. More so than the other rare officers that boost protected cargo, like DuPont or like T'Pring. But less than the Epic 4 of 11 in terms of boosting protected cargo. Her below deck ability increases ore mining speed, which could certainly be helpful for lower level players or players using, if you're in a G3 to G4 transition phase, like 38 to 42, 44, somewhere in that range, and you're starting to mine G4, but you have to use an off mining ship like an Amalgam or a Fuchsia or something like that to reach those G4 nodes, having her below deck could certainly improve the mining rate and make a noticeable impact for you and potentially piss off fewer people on your server if you're clogging up a node with your non-specific faction miner. So neither of them seem overly exciting, but that's sort of the new sourcing for them. And then the Galactic tokens, which will be kind of an ongoing thing, I guess, going forward. And they'll, get feedback and adjust that accordingly for a while. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how that works to know for sure.